But the results of this last month have been historic. As the president said, in the last month, think about this, 3,200, more than 3,200 violent gangs and drug dealers have been taken off the streets. Off the streets. Now, Director Patel and all of these agencies have also been working so hard on getting the leadership. But we are getting all the gang members off the streets and the drug dealers, Sinaloa, CJNG, MS-13, and more, TDA. 91 tons of drugs have been seized as a result of this task force. We tried to put this in perspective for you. This would be filling 4 18-wheelers. 4, all the drugs just in the last month that have been taken off the street. 58,000 kilos of cocaine. Think about a big backyard swimming pool. That would fill 1.5 swimming pools. Just the powder cocaine that has been removed, saving lives this last month, thanks to all of these people around the table. 2,300 kilos of fentanyl powder and 2.1 million fentanyl pills off the streets. And as the president said, more than 1,000 illegal guns.
October 14th, 2025, 9:47 p.m., Highway 277 outside Eagle Pass, Texas. DEA Special Agent Daniel Cruz was driving back to San Antonio after an undercover drug buy when red and blue lights appeared in his rearview mirror. A Maverick County Sheriff's deputy was pulling him over. Cruz's cover was solid. Fake ID, fake criminal record, fake vehicle registration.
What's going on, man?
I was just a bit tired, so I pulled over for a second, trying to go nap.
Okay.
He'd been working undercover for 6 months, and nobody in the cartel knew his real identity. This was just a routine traffic stop, or so he thought. In that moment, Cruz realized something terrifying. The Maverick County Sheriff's Office wasn't investigating the Sinaloa cartel. They were working for them, and he'd just been exposed by the very people who should have been protecting him. What Cruz didn't know yet, Sheriff Thomas Rivera and 34 of his 52 deputies had been on the Sinaloa cartel's payroll for 4 years. They'd moved $890 million in drugs through Maverick County by turning law enforcement into a cartel protection service. Can the FBI take down an entire sheriff's office without starting a war in a Texas border county? Hit like, comment, and subscribe before we reveal the largest sheriff corruption case in American history. Sheriff Thomas Rivera won election in November 2020 on a tough-on-crime platform. The former Marine and 18-year veteran of the Texas Department of Public Safety promised voters he'd secure Maverick County's 70 miles of border with Mexico. His campaign slogan, "No cartels, no compromises." Within 3 weeks of taking office, Rivera was approached by Sinaloa cartel representatives. The offer was simple: $500,000 per month to make Maverick County cartel-friendly. In exchange, the sheriff would provide police radio frequencies, patrol schedules, sensor locations, and protection for drug shipments crossing through the county. Deputies would escort loads to safe houses. Anyone investigating cartel activity would be arrested on false charges. The county would become a safe corridor for drug trafficking. Rivera accepted immediately, but he had a problem. Not all his deputies would cooperate, so he began recruiting systematically. New hires were vetted for susceptibility to corruption, financial problems, gambling debts, personal vulnerabilities. Deputies who showed hesitation were given a choice: join the network or be fired on fabricated disciplinary charges. Those who refused and threatened to report the corruption faced something worse: arrest on planted evidence or threats against their families. Within 18 months, Rivera had corrupted 34 of his 52 deputies. The remaining 18 honest deputies survived by keeping their heads down and avoiding questions about why drug investigations always ended with insufficient evidence. The corruption operated like a criminal enterprise. Rivera controlled the county like a cartel boss. He held weekly meetings with his inner circle, 8 senior deputies who managed the protection network. They coordinated drug shipments, assigned escorts, distributed bribe money, and eliminated threats. Deputies working cartel escorts earned bonuses based on load size. The sheriff took his cut from every shipment, typically 10% of the cartel's payment to his office. The system was frighteningly efficient. When border sensors detected movement in cartel crossing zones, corrupt deputies would respond to the alert and radio back false alarm or animal activity. But the most shocking abuse was Rivera's treatment of federal agents. Over 4 years, 3 DEA agents conducting undercover operations in Maverick County were exposed by the sheriff's office. In each case, Rivera or his deputies arrested the agents on bogus charges: drug possession, weapons violations, obstruction, then leaked their real identities to the cartel. 2 agents barely escaped with their lives. The third, Daniel Cruz, got the warning in time to run. The investigation that would destroy Rivera's empire began on October 15, 2025, the day after Deputy Cruz's exposure. Cruz immediately drove to San Antonio and contacted FBI San Antonio field office. His story was explosive but required verification. Could an entire sheriff's office really be working for a cartel? FBI Special Agent Michelle Torres took the case. She'd investigated corruption before, but nothing like this. An elected sheriff, 34 deputies, 4 years of operation, $890 million in protected drug trafficking, and multiple federal agents targeted. The FBI couldn't use traditional investigation methods. Torres initiated a classified investigation codenamed Operation Lone Star Betrayal. FBI installed wiretaps on Rivera's personal phones after obtaining federal warrants. The wiretaps were devastating. Within weeks, FBI recorded Rivera coordinating directly with Sinaloa cartel logistics coordinators. Conversations about shipment schedules, payment deliveries, and problem people who needed to be handled. Deputies discussing escort assignments like they were routine police work. Senior deputies dividing bribe money in Rivera's office like gang members splitting robbery proceeds. But Torres needed more than wiretaps. She needed an insider, someone who could document the corruption from within. That's when FBI recruited Michael Santos, a former Army Ranger and qualified law enforcement officer, to go undercover as a deputy. The cover story was perfect. Santos had military experience, law enforcement training, and financial problems that made him appear corruptible. He applied for a deputy position in February 2026. Rivera personally interviewed him, probing for weaknesses. Santos mentioned gambling debts and child support payments he couldn't afford. Rivera smiled. "We take care of our people here. You'll make enough to solve all those problems." Santos was hired. Within 2 weeks, he was approached by a senior deputy about extra work. The deputy explained the arrangement. Disable body cameras during certain shifts, ignore sensors in specific zones, escort vehicles when assigned, and keep quiet about everything. Monthly payment, $50,000 cash. Santos accepted. For 4 months, Santos wore a concealed recording device to every shift. He documented corrupt deputies coordinating with cartel members at gas stations. He recorded Rivera personally meeting with Sinaloa representatives in a restaurant parking lot. By April 2026, Torres had everything needed: wiretaps, financial records, undercover testimony, and physical evidence of murders. She presented the case to the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Antonio. Federal prosecutors authorized charges against Rivera and 34 deputies for narco-terrorism, drug trafficking conspiracy, murder, witness tampering, obstruction of justice, and civil rights violations. April 22nd, 6 a.m. FBI tactical teams surrounded the Maverick County Sheriff's Office in Eagle Pass. Simultaneously, teams were positioned at the homes of all 34 corrupt deputies and at Rivera's ranch. The operation would be swift, coordinated, and overwhelming. At precisely 6:03 a.m., FBI agents breached the sheriff's office front doors. The morning shift deputies, 8 of them, all corrupt, stared in shock as federal agents flooded the building. In his office, Sheriff Rivera was sitting at his desk counting cash, $180,000 in banded stacks that had been delivered the previous night by a cartel courier. He looked up as FBI agents entered with weapons drawn. For a moment, he considered reaching for the pistol in his desk drawer. Then he saw the red laser dots on his chest and raised his hands. "Sheriff Thomas Rivera, you are under arrest for narco-terrorism, conspiracy to distribute narcotics, murder, and corruption," Special Agent Torres announced. "You have the right to remain silent." Rivera said nothing as agents handcuffed him. His expression was not shock or fear, it was resignation. He'd always known this day might come. He just hadn't expected it to come so completely. Across Maverick County, FBI teams executed simultaneous arrests at 34 homes. Deputies waking up for work found federal agents at their doors with arrest warrants. Some tried to flee, others surrendered immediately. A few reached for weapons and were subdued by tactical teams. Within 90 minutes, all 34 corrupt deputies were in custody. At the sheriff's office, FBI evidence recovery teams found incriminating material everywhere. Computer files detailing 4 years of coordination with cartels, body camera footage that deputies forgot to delete showing them escorting drug loads, financial ledgers documenting bribe payments totaling $6.5 million to the sheriff's office over 4 years. And, most damning, Rivera's personal phone with text messages to cartel coordinators discussing shipments, payments, and problems that need solving. April 23rd, Texas Governor Greg Abbott held a press conference in Austin alongside Attorney General Pamela Bondi and FBI Director Christopher Wray. Yesterday, federal law enforcement arrested the sheriff of Maverick County and 34 deputies for operating a criminal enterprise on behalf of the Sinaloa cartel. For 4 years, these individuals, sworn to uphold the law, sold their badges and betrayed their community. They protected $890 million in drug trafficking. They murdered 12 people, and they arrested federal agents trying to stop the very cartel they were protecting. Governor Abbott continued, "Effective immediately, I am disbanding the Maverick County Sheriff's Office. Every deputy will be investigated. The Texas Rangers will assume all law enforcement responsibilities in Maverick County until emergency elections can be held, and a new sheriff installed under federal oversight." In November, Rivera was sentenced to 12 consecutive life sentences plus 400 years in federal prison. Texas Rangers operated the sheriff's office for 8 months, while the FBI investigated every deputy, dispatcher, and administrator. 18 honest deputies who'd survived Rivera's purge were cleared and offered their jobs back. 14 accepted. The others had been too traumatized to continue in law enforcement. A special election in December 2026 brought a new sheriff, Maria Gonzalez, a former FBI agent with 20 years of experience. She ran on a platform of transparency and federal cooperation. She won with 78% of the vote. Her first action was implementing federal oversight protocols that would remain in place for 5 years, financial disclosure requirements, random integrity testing, FBI liaisons stationed permanently in the office, and whistleblower protections for anyone reporting corruption. The impact on drug trafficking was immediate. Without sheriff's office protection, Sinaloa operations in Maverick County collapsed. Drug seizures by federal authorities increased 340% in the 6 months after Rivera's arrest, as cartels struggled to find new routes without corrupt law enforcement protection. The flow of drugs through the county dropped to levels not seen in a decade. For the families of the 12 murder victims, the discovery of their loved ones' remains brought closure but reopened old wounds. Federal victim compensation funds provided support, but no amount of money could replace the fathers, brothers, and sons murdered by a sheriff who saw them as threats to his criminal empire. President Trump addressed the case during a speech on border security. A sheriff and 34 deputies were arrested for working with drug cartels. They weren't just corrupt, they were accessories to murder. They betrayed their badges, their community, and their country, but they were caught, they were prosecuted, and they will spend their lives in prison. Let this serve as a warning. No position is too high, no badge too powerful to escape justice when you betray your oath. As the sun set over Eagle Pass on April 22nd, the sheriff's office that had been a criminal enterprise for 4 years was empty except for FBI agents cataloging evidence. The badge that Sheriff Rivera had sold for $24 million now sat in an evidence locker, tagged for trial. The 12 victims buried on his ranch were finally being returned to their families for proper burial. And the 34 deputies who'd chosen money over honor were beginning their first night of what would be decades in federal prison. If you believe these stories of justice must be told, then like this video, subscribe to Truth America, and share this with someone who needs to understand that corruption, no matter how powerful, will eventually face justice. Because the badge means something, the oath means something, and those who betray both will answer for it.